Hi everyone, we're back. I'm Maria. I am the individual living specialist here at CRI. This is Rob. And
Hey guys.
Independence Today. Yay!
All right. And since we've been away for so long, I hope everybody out there had great holidays. And I just have one critical question for my cohort, Maria. Maria, is it May yet?
It is not me yet.
Okay, it needs to be.
Yes.
Okay, folks, today we are going to be starting a two-part series concerning autism. And we have Bethany. Yay, Bethany. She works here at Community Resources for Independence, and she's going to be giving us some information.
So let's start with the major question that I like to say. What is autism? So we all understand what it is.
Right. So autism is a developmental disability. So when we say like developmental disabilities, it affects how we grow and how we learn, right?
Yeah.
And with communication. So, and it starts from when they're young,
Yeah.
right? So it's usually identified around like 18 months, 2 years old. But then it can be identified any time throughout anyone's life. So I've worked with people who were just diagnosed prior to working with me. So it has a broad range, right? Because when you say you meet one person with autism, you meet one person with autism because it's
Right.
so different,
Sure.
right?
Same thing as you meet one disabled person doesn't mean you met a mom.
Right.
Or someone with a spinal cord injury.
Yeah.
That can be as different as, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's just the characteristics though, where it affects and they have challenges within like communication and some behaviors.
Mhm.
But what we like to say is that there's people with autism interact with the world differently than
Okay.
what, neurotypical people.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a deficit in communication, whereas it's just a difference
Mhm.
in communication.
Okay.
So it affects social communication. There's repetitive behaviors, some sensory abnormalities. So this could be like just someone being more sensitive to light or the fan in the room that they hear,
Or textures.
right, texture, and like with foods or clothing.
Would social cues be one of them too? Like how someone would react a certain way, but then if you have autism or whatever, you are stern and you don't have that emotional reaction, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's so broad,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
They could have anxiety, just struggling with paying attention just because they might be focusing on something else,
Sure.
because
But that's different. There's so ADHD and that's a real close line, right?
Mhm,
Okay.
yes.
So do they both have that at the same time, or is it?
So yeah, people with autism can also have ADHD. It's not always,
Okay.
know.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
Everything is made.
But yeah, if you look back and like through history and diagnosis, like there was a time where people who are now diagnosed with autism had a diagnosis of ADHD. So
Sure.
they're not comorbid, but
Yeah.
there's some similarities there.
Mhm.
Just like people with manic depression, they used to say idiot savant
Mhm.
and things like that. So yeah, there's all over time things get more developed in terms of what we should refer to people as. Yeah.
Yes, and it's ever changing.
Mhm.
So, and same thing just with how people with autism like to be, and I want to say labeled isn't the right thing, but referred to.
Sure.
It's different depending upon the person. So,
First of all, still people. We're all people.
right,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah, we are
If you
not.
want to describe what they have, and then people with autism, people who are spinal cord, then you can say all that.
Sure,
But
sure.
first and foremost, people are people.
Yes, absolutely.
Person first language.
Yes.
Yes. You might have already answered this to a degree, but why are people with autism said to be on the spectrum? That's really the correct term, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so it is. It's autism spectrum disorder. So where it not originally came from, but when the DSM was updated in 2013, they made this umbrella category, which is the ASD,
Yeah.
autism
Okay.
spectrum disorder.
Okay.
So it encompasses multiple diagnoses that were once in the DSM before.
Okay.
So you had that's where Asperger's was brought in and, under this one large umbrella, okay? But at
Which
this.
sucks, because there's a lot of different,
Well,
Right.
of course,
Yeah.
and that's, I guess that's
So,
why
I
they
get the
say
frustration
spectrum.
with
Right,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And because there's so, right before, like I said, when you meet one person with autism, you meet one person with autism. So not everyone
Mhm.
with, an autism diagnosis is the same,
Yeah.
right? So there's some people that, struggle more with communication or, they have more repetitive behaviors, just
Yeah.
different, there is,
Absolutely.
it's so different for everyone. So someone who might have some motor functioning, like fine motor skill deficits, might be great with communication and vice versa. So, it affects so many different areas and so many people differently
Mhm.
that,
Well, that's a great point, because you can't put people in a box,
right,
and say, okay, autism is these 4 things. No, it's really not true.
What do you like the most about working in this field, or why do you choose to work in this field?
so I laugh because I'm really not that old. But I've worked,
never
I'm
said
not
you
that
were.
old, okay? I like to tell you, but I've worked in this area for 22 years,
Wow.
right? So, and I've worked in a variety of settings.
How old are you?
I know.
No,
We're going back to right out of high school.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Move on.
Right? But, so, one of the great things, and I've worked with multiple people with multiple abilities and, disabilities, but one of the coolest things about working with people with autism, is that because everyone is so different, there's always that area where you're like, this person is so good in this area. Let's find ways to bring that out.
Yeah.
And then that way, if there's something where they're struggling with, that we can just
Yeah.
work together,
Or to help someone
and really,
find it and then
yes.
figure what to do to help
And
them
to-
fix whatever you want to do.
yeah, just, that there's so, and it's so broad, and I've worked with so many people and, just really, it's cool to watch them overcome,
Yeah.
those areas and to really,
Me as
live
a
a
case
life.
manager, it's the progress of having the starting point, the middle, and then
Sure.
actually feeling and doing something that you helped them do, and oh my gosh, I actually did, you know what I mean?
Right, yes.
Feeling accomplished about it, but not more for yourself, more for the person, because they wanted to learn, they wanted to get things situated or
Right.
find a house, and that's the best part of my job, is that I get to be there to help them do it.
Yes.
So whatever the issues related to autism, those can be worked with
Yes.
to the point where, they may not have the issue, or they might still have the issue, but they can learn to adapt to
Right.
their environment. Yeah.
So, that's one of the things with the adult autism waivers. One of our goals is to work with people so that they don't need the waiver services anymore.
Okay.
Now, some
Okay.
people,
So that's
They
their
always-
ultimate goal.
yeah,
Okay.
they always need support. So we work on skills and really helping, to teach those skills in those areas where there's, some slight deficits
Yeah.
or how to overcome the differences.
Mhm.
So
In a
that,
situation, you need to learn how to handle them
Yes.
and stuff, okay.
so.
So, what support services are available for adults that are on the spectrum?
So here at CRI, we are supports coordinators through the adult autism waiver. So, it's a waiver service through PA. So in order to work with me directly, the person has to be receiving services through the waiver. Now, that's not the only service here. We have multiple providers across Pennsylvania who provide community support, so helping people in their home and in the community. There's behavior supports to work directly on the behaviors that that people need assistance with. Skill building, which breaks down skills so that it helps the person be able to work independently or live independently, things like that.
Do people sometimes want help finding a job and then
Yes,
so you coach
so,
them with that and stuff?
So there are supported employment services
Okay,
through
cool,
labor.
sure.
There's job finding to help with that. There's therapy,
Yeah.
transportation assistance, so we can, connect you with like Uber funds or bus passes, things like that, so that you so that like participants can continue
Right.
to be as independent as possible.
Mhm.
Socialization training, I guess, yeah.
Right, yeah, so it's, the labor is skill focused. So yeah, so, working on social skills,
Mhm.
is, an area that the participant wants to work on, then that can be worked on.
I remember, quite a long time ago, there was a bus driver for the Lyft that was on the spectrum.
Mhm.
And if he'd never told me, I would never have known. And he was a good driver. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah. I mean, everybody's got abilities. So,
Absolutely, yes, that, we're not just defined by them,
Mhm.
right. Right.
that,
My weakest strength is math, so don't ask me to do math, you know? So, I mean, everybody has weaknesses and strengths, so.
I love math, but not calculus.
Okay, let's not get into
Yeah.
that.
that's a whole nother day,
No, that's a whole
right?
nother time, yes. Well, did you have any other questions, or did you want to have any last comments? But I appreciate you being on our show and taking the time to be with us.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, and if anyone has questions too that they'd like to ask directly, feel free to reach out to us, and I'll hope to address that.
Yes, and
During
then
our
hopefully we're
next
gonna have
video.
another session part 2.
Yes.
Yes, next Friday.
So if you have any questions you want to ask Bethany, you can either put it on the comments, email us, call us, and then we'll do session number 2, okay?
And then we're going to be doing, part of session number 2 is going to be the misconceptions regarding autism, which there are many.
Yes.
We probably could do a 7-part series just on that. But yeah, definitely, I think that's very important, yeah.
Yes.
So Bethany, thank you,
Thank you.
and keep on trucking. You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
Everybody have a good weekend.
Bye,
All right,
thank
guys,
you.
take care.
All right, 1 second. This thing takes forever. And then I have to refresh it.